The Swan was gone, yet its lesson endured. As Siddhartha entered his teenage years, the memory of that day continued to shape the prince he was becoming. In him, it deepened a profound compassion. In Devadatta, it left a lasting wound of pride. The courtiers still whispered their praises, marveling at a young man whose heart held more power than the mighty bows of warriors. Yet, a subtle, invisible fracture had appeared in the bond between the two princes. The event was a silent prelude to a much greater storm. When the words of Siddhartha reached the throne, "Life belongs to the one who protects it, not the one who destroys it," King Suddhodana felt a sudden, icy grip upon his heart. As a father, his chest swelled with a profound and quiet pride. But as a sovereign ruler, a deep, primal fear took root in his soul. A king, to protect his realm, must understand power, duty, punishment, and the burden of difficult choices. A heart so boundlessly tender, so easily shattered by the suffering of a single bird, could never bear the crushing burden of a crown. The ancient prophecy, long buried under layers of gold and silk, whispered once again in the king's anxious mind. Far from the throne room, the sharp thud of arrows piercing wood echoed through the royal training grounds. Devadatta drew his bow, his muscles taut, his eyes burning with an unspoken, bitter intensity. It was not merely the loss of a hunting prize that fueled his anger. It was the undeniable truth that, no matter his skill, no matter his royal blood, the eyes of the court would always turn toward Siddhartha. Devadatta possessed the fiery spirit of a conqueror, yet he found himself constantly eclipsed by a prince who had no desire to conquer anything. In the quiet solitude of the archery range, a dark, competitive seed was sown, watered by a resentment that would slowly grow into a lifelong shadow. While Devadatta sharpened his arrows, Siddhartha sharpened his mind, but in a way that troubled his esteemed tutors. The royal scholars poured ancient wisdom, political strategy, and military tactics into his ears. Yet, the young prince's gaze often drifted away from the sacred scrolls, lost in the movement of the wind or the fleeting flight of a sparrow. When he finally spoke, his questions left the wise men in uncomfortable silence. "Why must living beings hurt one another to survive?" he would ask. "Why must the weak forever fear the strong? Can any palace, no matter how heavily guarded, truly protect its people from sorrow?" The prince was looking for answers that no royal library could ever provide. To ensure Siddhartha's happiness, the king had commanded that only youth, beauty, and joy be permitted within the palace walls. But the prince, possessing an extraordinarily observant soul, began to notice the subtle, hidden truths of his environment. He saw the frantic haste of servants replacing wilted lotus flowers before he could witness their decay. He noticed the heavy, iron gates slamming shut when ragged wanderers approached the royal gardens. He watched, with quiet realization, how the birds could effortlessly soar over the towering marble walls, while he, the future ruler of the world, remained tethered to the ground. The flawless, artificial paradise was beginning to crack, revealing glimpses of a hidden reality. One evening, as the golden sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and fiery orange, Siddhartha stood alone before the massive, bronze gates of Kapilavastu. He did not seek to flee. He did not rebel. He merely stood in absolute stillness, his mind echoing with a single, profound question that refused to sleep. If this palace was truly the heaven his father claimed it to be, why must so much be hidden from his eyes? From a distant balcony, the king watched his son's solitary figure. King Suddhodana had built towering walls to keep suffering away. But as he looked at the prince, he realized the terrifying truth. The questions had already entered.